Kia ora koutou. And just because I've got a long beard doesn't make me a deep thinker, but I should start by saying that I've kind of come at this from the angle that in order to really get meaningful civic engagement of any kind, there need to be some pretty fundamental changes, particularly to our governing institutions, and that's because I think those governing institutions are really important and influential and powerful, but are not necessarily engaged or designed to provide for any kind of response to meaningful civic engagement. So I've tried to suggest some ideas which move us towards a space where people don't feel disempowered, that they see that actions that they take in having public conversations and participating in civic engagement does have substantive impact. And I always like thinking in that context. There's a Canadian politician from the mid-20th century, Tommy Douglas, who talked about thinking about changing the way you think about engaging in voting, particularly. And he said, you can imagine if you've got an electorate full of mice, and for a long time they elected a whole lot of cats, black cats, into Parliament. And things didn't go well for the mice, and they thought, well, what can we do about this? And so one of the mice said, well, I know, we'll elect some white cats. And as you can imagine, that didn't really change anything. So what we need to think about is how to actually engage and change our governing institutions, change those power structures, change the way we think about citizenship, if we want actually to have meaningful civic engagement. So the first point there that I've suggested is that we make sure in terms of education that we're teaching all of our young people how to create a respectful public conversation, and that means encouraging people to contribute, to write in blogs, in letters to the editor, for media organisations, to have a voice in all of those different ways, to make podcasts, to create YouTube videos, to do whatever it is that allows people to have a voice and to engage. And to do that in a respectful way, to do that without resorting to sexism and racism and bullying, and to make sure that those things are called out whenever they occur, whether that's in our mainstream media, whether that's in blogs, whether that's in our parliament. And that's the only way I think that we're going to ensure that there's a safe space to have these conversations, to have the kind of difficult conversations that Claudia talked about. Now, the second point there I've suggested is to establish, to have independent organisations that really make accessible really authoritative and reliable information on these key issues of climate change, peace and equality. And when I was thinking about this, I was thinking, well, should I sort of leave that more open as to what these organisations, the kind of information or issues they might address? My thinking is that actually those issues, if we don't have governing institutions and citizenship that have these issues at the centre of what they're doing, then that's not a sustainable society. If we don't actually make these a priority, then we're not going to continue as a society. So that's why I said that those are three kind of core issues that we need to address. And then finally, the third point there is, this is a sort of a little bit less precise, but I think this is really the key, the heart of what I'm trying to suggest, is that we need to change the power structures from outside of them, because I don't think they're set up at the moment in a way that you can engage within those power structures to achieve meaningful change, to create a new model of citizenship. And really what I'm talking about there is thinking about different ways of understanding our relationships with each other, with the environment, and thinking about what our obligations are in relation to those things. And just maybe to give an example of the sort of direction or the kind of thing that I'm thinking about there. I work a lot in treaty settlements in the Treaty of Waitangi area, and one I think really good example of this is the settlement in relation to the Whanganui River. And in that case, what happened was the Whanganui iwi there, they had been offered the opportunity to have a seat on the council which was making decisions about how the river was managed. But they said, actually, we don't want a voice in this current system, because this current system has a framework that doesn't focus on the things that we think ought to be focused on. And it doesn't give a voice to others in our community who we think also ought to have a voice. And so now we have a really innovative situation with that settlement where the Whanganui River has its own legal personality. There are guardians of that river, and that's really changed the whole framework of how to think about what it means to manage and to look after that river, and not just provide a different kind of voice within the same system. Kia ora koutou.